We are gathered here tonight to mourn and remember the victims and survivors of the Pulse nightclub shooting that hit Orlando 2 days ago. We are here to pray for the families and friends of these victims and survivors and stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters of the LGBTQ+ community. Even though I don't identify as queer or transgender, I am Muslim and I'm an immigrant. And the tragedy that we witnessed last weekend has relevant effects on my community, which continue to contribute to the stigma and stereotype about Islam being a religion of terror, violence, oppression, and aggression. My heart goes out to the 50 victims and 53 survivors of this tragedy and their families and friends. As a member of the Muslim community myself, I can also say that the victims of any terrorist attack are not only comprised of those who are directly and physically impacted by it. I kid you not when I say that, due to that horrendous and heartbreaking tragedy, people of the Muslim faith across the world feel insecure, victimized, shaken, and fearful. Fearful of the rampant and copious levels of Islamophobia, xenophobia, and violence against Muslims, immigrants, and racialized folks that is bound to come by media, politicians, and others. Literally, a few minutes after a tragedy or any other event of terrorism, we see thousands of tweets calling for the extermination and deportation of Muslims from the respective country. We see mosques being scorched and destroyed around the world. We see media outlets, political officials, and fanatic agencies exploit attacks against Muslims and tragedies committed by extremists to spread propaganda in the form of Islamophobia, xenophobia, and racism. They will smear, defame, and slander Islam by using selective and self-serving distortions, generalizations, misrepresentations, misinterpretations, misquotations, and misinformation. ISIS and other extremist groups are un-Islamic. It is even wrong to refer to them as Islamic State, because Islam and their ugly actions should never be associated. They are not representation. They are not representation and are no more than an aberration of Islam. These groups serve nothing but the perpetuation of imperialism, colonialism, and capitalism, and exacerbate the culture of oppression, aggression, and violence against Muslims. Thus, it is very important for all of us to refuse to listen to those voices of hatred, bigotry, and confusion that only seek to create a monopoly on the discourse of Islam and trade in it. It is crucial that we do not fall for those voices of discrimination and intolerance that will generalize the 0.0000001% of extremists that take things out of context and ignore the 99.9999999% of true innocent Muslims that are severely influenced by these criminal acts. By allowing these voices, we would only be empowering extremists and ISIS-type groups and serving their mandates. Because the only thing that these terrorists and haters and bigots have in common is that they both believe that Islam is a religion of violence, oppression, and aggression. The SFUO, the Student Federation of the University of Ottawa, is here today to recognize and denounce any violence perpetuated toward Muslims and immigrants, and highlight that in times of distress, struggle, and hardship, it is important to stay united. These events, no matter how tragic, should in no way be used as an agenda to promote Islamophobia, xenophobia, or racism in all its kinds. It is also time to realize our privileges and identities and understand that Islamophobia, xenophobia, racism, homophobia, transphobia, or any other form of discrimination does not end by changing a president, a prime minister, a premier, and a member of parliament, an executive, or a head of a department or an office. We have to change the system so that these practices and acts of oppression end. It is time for white people to step up and others with privilege to step up and be allies. And to also realize that allyship isn't standing up for your Muslim, queer, or trans friend only once. It's a continuous support and solidarity work that takes place on every day and daily basis. In Islam, we greet each other by saying Assalamu alaikum or Salam, which are literally wishes of the other to be blessed with peace. I do follow a religion in which 113 out of the 114 chapters of the Quran start by introducing the God of Islam as the God of mercy and compassion. My religion is a religion of peace, love, justice, and mercy. It's a religion of unity, tolerance, and compassion. It's a religion of generosity, humility, modesty, and kindness. It's a religion of liberty, democracy, and freedom. It's a religion of equity and equality. It's a religion that considers a smile as a charity. It's a religion where the word man and woman were mentioned in the Quran the same number of times to send a beautiful message of equality to generations to come. Because my fellow executive at the Student Federation and I are in positions of power and we hold different marginalized identities, we are able to get support and do this work with others who share similar identities and with allies. But in a year or so, we will be gone and this work has to still continue. La SFUO continuera son travail pour soutenir en solidarité les droits de celles et ceux qui s'identifient en tant que musulmanes et musulmans, immigrantes et immigrants, ainsi que celles et ceux qui s'identifient comme queer ou trans. De plus, la fédération est solidaire toujours avec tous celles et ceux qui font partie d'un groupe marginalisé. It is everyone's responsibility to raise awareness to these serious issues and to delegitimize the voices of hatred and bigotry. Those voices of division, intolerance, and discrimination will not hold us back from existing and being who we are. They will not stop us from believing in what we believe in and practice our faith in peace. Today, I mourn the lives that were lost at the Orlando shooting. Today, I pray for the survivors of this tragedy. Today, I am filled with empathy and sympathy for the families and friends of those affected by any violence and discrimination around the world. Today, I am outraged for my siblings of the LGBTQ+ community. That is what my religion teaches me to believe in, motivates me to feel, and guides me to do. My name is Hadi Wess. I am Muslim and proud. I am unapologetic, and I am not a terrorist. Thank you. My name is Hadi Wess.
Okay, and just talk to me over here. So tell me, why did you feel it was important to organize this vigil tonight?
Sorry, can you hear?
Why did you feel it was important to organize this tonight?
It's very important to bring all the marginalized voices into the picture at the forefront too. We, as a Student Federation, we represent a big portion of we represent a big membership. We represent different identities, cultures, ethnicities, sexual orientations, religions, and beliefs. And it's very important whenever doing a vigil or doing any ceremony to have all voices included. It's also important to mourn and remember the lives of those that were lost in the Orlando shooting, and pray for their families and their friends, and also to dismantle the culture that could come through the media or political officials or others that Islam is the reason of this, or that Islam is a religion of terror or violence or aggression.
Although the one woman who spoke did say the Islamic community needs to step up on this issue, and how do you feel about that in terms of participating in gay pride parades, things like that? Would you like to see more Muslims? Tell me about that.
Absolutely. As a Muslim myself, and as a representative of this campus, I commit to doing that kind of work on a daily basis. But as a Muslim myself, if I want to exist, and an immigrant too, if I want to exist in Canada and be respected and have my faith respected and recognized, and being able to practice my beliefs in peace, I also have to respect others' beliefs and traditions and cultures and whatever they believe in. So I stand in solidarity with them, they stand in solidarity with me, and when we're united, we're stronger, and when we're stronger, we are able to dismantle the kind of culture of hatred and violence against any marginalized groups.
But do you feel that Muslims should do more in terms of the gay community, especially now in light of what happened? Should they? I mean, we also had that woman who spoke, who was head of a large Muslim Canadian organization. Is it time for Muslims to step up and show solidarity with the GLBT community particularly?
Absolutely. Islam is a religion of peace and compassion and mercy. It's not a religion of violence or aggression, or there's not a single quote in the Quran or any source or resource related to Islam that encourages any actions of violence or aggression. And I think as a Muslim myself, I think that listening to those voices of hatred and discrimination and intolerance and division are not listening to them, are only serving the purpose and the mandate of extremists, because haters and bigots, same as extremists, have only one thing in common, is that they both believe that Islam is a religion of violence and terror, and that's completely wrong.
But do you want to see other Muslims in your community step up now?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it starts by ourselves. I started with myself. I bring that kind of education to my family spreads it around, and that's how we make sure that we have an inclusive and accessible and a safe society for everyone.
Okay. Were there many Muslims here, do you know, from the...
Absolutely. I've heard the lady Miss Salma Siddiqui, who's the president of the coalition of Canadian Muslim Organization, a progressive Canadian Muslim organization. They came all in solidarity to be in solidarity with queer and trans people and this community. And then I myself, along with many other Muslim friends, along as the Student Federation, were all here in solidarity with this community.
Yeah, you did. Will you be, I'm not sure, is there a gay pride parade coming up?
I heard so, but I'm not sure when it is.
So will you yourself be marching in that?
Absolutely, absolutely. As a member, as a Muslim myself, and as a representative of the students, I represent all sorts of identities, and it's my duty to make sure that everybody's accommodated and included in these conversations, and everybody has a safe space.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.